Hi, Corky.
Welcome to Life's Dream, live stream, number 8, life's dream, life's dream, number 8. And this is titled, as I can see here, Force Manure. It's a legal term. It has to do with the music business a little bit, which is why I'm dressed lawyerly today. Of course, we have the
pajamas,
important pajamas and the house slippers. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll get to that later. Some interesting things. But first I'm going to do a piece that is dedicated to Little Walter. Paul Butterfield popularized it along with Little Walter. And it's called Blues with a Feeling. And the first word in this song is blues, which gives you a warning about what's coming. And then the next 3 words, with a feeling. These words are profound. I'm gonna tell you about these words in this song, Blues with a Feeling. Blues with a feeling. Like blues isn't enough, blues with a feeling. That's what I have today. Story is over right there. But then he explains why. I gotta find my baby. His baby's lost. I gotta find my baby. If it takes all night and day, and the way he says it, you would imagine if it takes years, okay? The next line, this is where, this is like profound. This word is profound. So, what a lonely feeling when you're by yourself. I mean, it's sort of one thing folds upon the other. Yeah, when you're by yourself, you're alone. So when you're alone, it's a lonely feeling. That is profound. That's poetry. What a lonely feeling when you're by yourself. Now here it gets even crazier. And the one you're loving has gone away and left. Like it's bad enough that she's gone away. But on top of that, she's left. Ah! Then the bridge is, I love you, baby. I just can't help myself. Well, that helplessness was clear up to that point. And now he's restating it. I just can't help myself. There's nothing he can do about it. Totally out of control. When the one you're loving is loving someone else, I think, is the line. We'll know when I sing it. Just unbelievable. And then, if that's not enough, he restates everything. Blues with a feeling. That's what I have today. I gotta find my baby. If it takes all night and day. Talk about a blues song. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try and play it without crying.
right.
Blues with a Feeling. What a lonely feeling when you're by yourself. Oh my.
Indeed.
Oh my. Okay. So now, the music business. I wrote a book. I'm going to read the book to you. This is wild. Okay, I'm going to sit over here.
Pirouette.
This is called The One-Page Book on the Music Business. It's available online. A lot of people have read it. A lot of famous people have read it and written it to me and said they got to send it all over. Their friends need it. So I could name names, but I won't. But anyway, here's the photograph.
Come into the office.
Yeah, come into the office. Here's the photograph of a check I received in 2015. You could see it's for 1 cent, and the postage is 39 cents. That makes a lot of sense.
Very George Carlin.
Yes. Okay, so now come over here with me. I'm going to relax and read you this book loudly so you could hear. Word for word, here it is. By the way, it's a 1-page book.
We're thinking it should come out as a paperback.
Yeah, we were going to do that. Definitely release it as a paperback. 1-page book on the music business. Oh, forward. I was writing a book on the music business from the artist's perspective. It took 30 years to write. It began as 180 pages, and ended up being 2 pages. And now that it's completely edited without the fluff, it's just 1 page with 4 chapters, a foreword, and an epilogue. Chapter 1, Art and Business. Now I just want to say this applies to more a little bit of history, but the principle applies today and will apply throughout the future. Chapter 1, Art and Business. The music business is made up of mostly good-intentioned people who are experts at the exploitation of musical artists. The artists are also experts, but at gullibility and vulnerability, and as my friend Karen Leipziger added, and a certain amount of desperation. Great combo. Welcome to the music biz. Chapter 2. It's the lottery. Trying to succeed by industry standards is like playing the lottery. Buy a ticket and you have 1 chance in a trillion of winning something. Be great at what you do. Know somebody. Be persistent and be independently wealthy. That's like buying a lot more tickets, but you still have 1 chance in a million of winning at their game. Of course, we can buy more tickets to increase our odds, but no matter what, we are still in the lottery. The delusion, here's the really important part of this chapter. The delusion is created because we see only the success stories, the enormous amount of failure stories from even great but unknown artists are very, very well hidden. Okay, chapter 3. Know your odds. See, I wrote this not to be mean. I really wanted to be helpful. I wanted to create, this is the reality, but here's how we could look at the reality in a positive way. Chapter 3, Know Your Odds. The business people know the odds. And they play the odds. When they blow in our ear and tell us how great we are and how much they love us, we think that means something. And then they tell us they are going to get our music to the people. I myself, still, to this day, to this moment, am an expert in gullibility. At one time, the statistics showed that when you get an agent, it's more likely you get less gigs than when you did it on your own. And when you get a major record deal, it is likely your career is effectively over. That's the statistics. You know, if you think about a lot of the groups in Chicago in the 70s that got major deals and then you never heard of them again, that was the rule. And then there was a thing called the record orphan. We actually had a neighbor that lived upstairs of us who was signed by Atlantic Records by Ahmet Ertegun. And then Ahmet left the record company.
David Foster was the
and she was
producer.
gone, and David Foster was the producer. That was pretty exciting. She never did anything. She did a few performances and that was it. And it was the end of her career. Locked her up. So when you get a major record deal, it is likely your career is effectively over. That's the statistics. We need to know the odds. Then at least we know what we're dealing with. For instance, a contract which an artist is effectively bound to uphold is all but meaningless from the artist's side. It doesn't force a business to fulfill their promise. It just reminds them of the promises they're breaking. Yeah? Okay, chapter 4. Sleepwalking off a cliff. You're going to love this. Do not follow your dream. You will be sleepwalking off a cliff. Wake up. Open your eyes. Follow your joy. Follow your love of music. When you are in love, people want to be around you. And yes, you don't have a chance of winning the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. Go ahead. Play the music biz game, full tilt. If it doesn't make you unhappy, we need happy musicians. Boy, do we need happy musicians. Boy, do we need happy musicians. Boy, do we need happy musicians. But don't mortgage your home or put all your eggs in their basket. Epilogue. And remember, we have the last laugh. We get to play the music. I hope you enjoyed my book. So that's the one-page book on the music business. It actually takes 2 minutes to read if you're not doing it dramatically like me. So now let me just say another thing. This is sort of interesting. We're back to force majeure, the legal term force majeure. In every one of my performance contracts for, I think, a little over a year now, this I don't know, what do you call it, phrase, or this part, this section is in all my contracts. I want you to read it.
Are you going to read it too?
I'll read it out loud, but take a picture of it, yeah.
Okay.
Just so they could see what it really is. The agreement for musicians to perform is subject to proven detention by sickness, accidents, riots, strikes, epidemics, force majeure, or acts of God, force manure, or S happens, or any other legitimate conditions beyond their control. I've had that in over a year, or maybe a year and a half, and no one has noticed it. So, but I'll tell you a story as I'm about to do.
You forgot the pirouette.
Pirouette, yeah. I'm going to do Idaho Potato Man for you in a minute. But I have to tell you this. So we get this contract, an international festival contract, a little over a year ago. It was 872 pages for our performance. I'm exaggerating slightly. And at least half of it was explaining to me how I would be responsible if almost anything went wrong to pay their advertising costs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going, this is crazy. So I scratched all this stuff out and I wrote in the contract myself, in the contract. To make a long story short, I'm sorry, you're the producer. You're taking all the risks. We're artists. Just being artists, we're already taking the risks, as you can see. And therefore, let's just call anything that might happen. You pay us no matter what. And anything that might happen, let's just call it force manure, or S happens. And then I added, you can see I'm not a lawyer. I'm an entertainer. So that's the force manure story. So I
And they
wrote,
said what?
what?
And
And they said, and they wrote back, they signed my contract, my version of it, and they said, we welcome you with open arms. And then I sent the whole force manure idea to a lot of the lawyer people I knew, and they totally loved it. Anyway, that was the story. That's it for stories. I'm going to do Idaho Potato Man, which was written in Idaho while I was a vegetarian. And after I wrote the song and people heard it, I would be at dinner at their house and they would serve me steak without any vegetables. I don't know what to tell you. There's something you should know before you bring me them victuals. I don't need nothing that don't bleed a little, that's right. It's got to wiggle in the pan, cause I'm a carnivarian, not an Idaho Potato Man. I don't want nothing steamed, I don't want nothing boiled. Bring it red in the middle and charcoal broiled. Alright, we'll keep a cow on hand, and you can tell the cook that I'm an Idaho Potato Man. Where life is sacred and they never cook it and they never bake. But now I'm American. I want a New York steak, not an Idaho Potato Man. So when you bring me the steak, be sure to keep the potato, keep the peas and the carrots and the lettuce and tomato. Oh yeah, I'm no vegetarian. I want a New York steak, not an Idaho Potato Man. So don't you set me down to the salad bar, and if it's French and it's soup, it's au revoir, may we? Excusez-moi, madame. I'm a filet mignon, not a French fried potato garçon. Chevrolet Quebec. using my gills, I'm feeding my face, getting animal fat all over the place. Yahoo! Eating all the flesh I can. I'm just a New York steak, not Idaho Potato Man. Okay, here we go, one more time. Idaho Potato Man. Okay, before we go, I want to... Oh, I almost forgot. I should tell you about the newsletter, because for those of you who missed the newsletter that went out yesterday, it's called Avoiding People Like the Plague. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing it. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you should do that, because I explain, and I will continue to explain every week, it's the only way we can stay in touch, despite the plans of the social media platforms, which are really in it to make money, not to help us stay connected, because they start charging for more and more things. So if you sign up for my newsletter, I have your email address, and I could stay in contact with you, let you know about everything that's going on. And also, you could also unsubscribe. That's really easy to do because I'm with Constant Contact. So, if you go to quirkymusic.com/stream, there's a list and links to all the streams. Once this one's finished, I load it in there. So all the streams are in there. Plus, I have a link to this last newsletter, so I'd like you to know that. But let me, and also, on the bottom of the newsletter, I usually do a little promotion and promote my music shop. I do that for making my works available, but also there's income involved in that, which could be a good thing, you never know. So anyway, let me just show you really quickly, before we say goodbye, our little music shop. Here we go.
Pirouette.
Our little music shop. Oh, pirouette. Yes, that's our transition. First of all the Siegel Schwall albums are still, what are they called? They're still alive.
Available.
Yeah. So here, this is the first one we did. This was recorded in 1966. That's me. That's Jim Schwall, the late Russ Chadwick, and Joss Davidson. And we wish Joss all the luck in the world. We'll tell you about it later. 1966, this is 1967. This is all outtakes, but people really love this. You can explain that to me later. This one is 1968.
Where was that shot?
That was shot at the Scene in New York City. And that's where Radio and Ragney came in and asked me and Jim to write the music for Hair. And Tiny Tim used to open for us there at the Scene. So that's Siegel Schwall 70. And then, no, that's Say Siegel Schwall. That's what that's called. And those three are Vanguard records. We were, on the label with all those guys, Joan Baez and everyone. This one is Vanguard also, but it's where we started, let's go back to the first one. And the first one, when you hear that record, you're hearing us starting to play blues. We didn't play it before, and this is us learning. So by the time we get to Siegel Schwall 70, come on over here. Here's 70. Yeah, by the time we get to Siegel Schwall 70, it's starting to get decent. It's starting to get really pretty darn good.
And what did Rollo say about that record?
Oh yeah, Rollo said, this was a few years ago when we were performing with Siegel Schwall. He said, because we all had just turned 70, because we all have just about the same birthdays. He said, Siegel Schwall 70 is taking on a whole new meaning. So then we've switched over to RCA and Wooden Nickel with Jerry Weintraub and all those guys and Bill Trout. And this was RCA, the first RCA record, Siegel Schwall. And then this next one is Sleepy Hollow. This Siegel Schwall was 71. This is 72. Siegel Schwall Band 953 West is 73. The live album last summer, 74. And RIP was 75. And then Siegel Schwall got back together in 87, and that was Alligator Records. And then we did another live with Sam Lay joined our band. And then Siegel Schwall 2005. So then we go back over here. That was it for the recordings on Siegel Schwall. Then we got, I came out with a book, very, very popular, about music expression, and it has some techniques in there. And I'm not kidding. How to, I should just read. I should read this because if you guys know Michael Miles, he gave me this incredible quote. And the quote actually didn't come from the book. The quote came from a little 15-minute workshop I gave him. And he said, I hope you don't mind me doing this, Michael. I am walking around, and this was in a letter. This might have even been before email. I don't know. I'm walking around rather amazed today. I spent some time practicing this morning, playing Bach, and exploring your ideas and suggestions. What has occurred defies description. The way I play seems to have fundamentally changed and improved overnight. I can't actually believe it, but I think it's true. And that's Michael Miles, and he was the education director at the Old Town School. Okay, now we go to the solo recordings. That's Solo Flight, which is a compilation of, let's switch over here for a second. A compilation of this and that. Okay, so we'll go back here. Then the first Chamber Blues CD on Alligator Records was, I think, 1994, if I'm not mistaken. And then this one, we're almost out of it, on Gadfly Records. And then Alligator did another one for us, Traveling Chamber Blues Show, 2005.
Randy Sabine is on.
Oh, Randy Sabine is featured on this.
That one.
Okay, and then our Different Voices, the culmination of all my work, Different Voices album with Ernie Watts, Marcy Levy, the Sons of the Never Wrong, Sam Lay, all these great featured artists, Sandeep Das. And then here's some that aren't available in my store right now. This was the first. Well, let's switch it over here. This was the first record we did with the San Francisco Symphony. We performed it in Chicago in '68, but this was the recording that came out on Deutsche Grammophon. I think we're the only blues band, I would guess, on Deutsche Grammophon. And then we came out with another one a few years later called Street Music on Deutsche Grammophon. And then here is the first solo album, which you saw on Dharma Records. And then this is Goodbye California. And then this is another symphonic record. Deutsche Grammophon put out both pieces, and named it Corky Siegel. I appreciated that. But anyway, let's go back. We have to. That's the take some music. Woo! So we got everything. Okay. So we're gonna say goodbye. I'll end with a little harmonica, but I want to say goodbye. I want to say a great teacher of ours gave us some great advice. She said, breathe in deep, breathe out long, and wanted us to spread that message. And we will see you Friday, same time, same station. Now you know we're getting good at this when I could use professional lines like same time, same station.
Except for the moment when my hand touched the selfie and all of a sudden there's a surprised look on my face.
Oh. Okay. Well, let's hope that didn't hurt the sound.
Okay.
So, okay, goodbye, everyone.